Hello and welcome to the Sky Blues podcast. Today I'm joined by David Busst. So David, first
Morning.
of all, I'll start off with your footballing journey. How did it begin?
Oh, how long have you got? From usual thing, academies weren't about when I was playing football. Played district soccer. I was very small, up to the age of 16, so I actually went to work for Botanic Insurance and was playing works football. Had a bit of a growth spurt in those 2 years, and I went from about 5'3" to about 6'2" in 18 months. And then I started playing for a team called Kings Heath, who were in the Midland Com then. Then got picked up by Moor Green, who were playing 2 leagues higher. They're now Solihull Moors because they joined Solihull Bow and Moor Green joined together. I played there for 4 years, and then during that 4 years I had various trials at football clubs, Walsall, Wolves, Birmingham. And then when I was 24, Terry Butcher came to watch me play. He was the manager of Coventry. He liked what he saw. He was a centre half, probably saw some characteristics in myself similar to him, and he invited me for a trial. Had a week's trial, played a reserve team match at Old Trafford. It was Lee Sharp's comeback match, so there was 15,000 Man United fans came to watch that game, and we managed to draw 1-1. I played quite well. Unfortunately for me, Terry Butcher got the sack when we'd agreed a contract, but Don Howe was the assistant manager, and he'd been there while I was training and watched me as well, and he honoured the contract which I'd been offered, which was obviously good news for me. And that was 92, but it's a long time ago now. First 6 months under Don Howe, probably just got used to the fitness of the game, going from training every day to me playing, once a week and training, once a week. It was a bit of a shock, so it took me a good 6 months to adapt. As in football, managers come and go. What's his name? Bobby Gould came in, took over that season. Again, for the next 6 months, wasn't really in his plans. And then the season after, first year of the Premier League, I think that's 92-93, let's get my facts right. But I made my debut against Norwich in the FA Cup, and then we played them again 4 days later in the Premier League. So I made my debut then. Following season was a bit of a sort of that new centre halves had been brought in, and I wasn't sort of in the plans, so I didn't play much there that next season. Phil Neal took over from Bobby Gould when he moved on, and then started the 94-95 season. I played the first 25 games of the season. I had a hernia operation which put me out for the next 6 months. And then the 95-96 season, Ron Atkinson came in, and then I played, I think it was 20 odd games under him, and then 96 was when I got injured again at Old Trafford. So in a nutshell, that's my playing career.
And obviously, going on to the injury, it seemed like you were just sort of getting into the swing of things with Coventry. How frustrating was that?
For me to play professional football was one of the best things you could ever do. I've enjoyed football all my life, and then to get paid for playing and training, it's no matter what. So me coming late into the game, I'd worked for Botanic Insurance previously, and I'd worked in the real world. I was late coming into football, so I had all those experiences. I knew what it was like, so I knew how much it meant to me to be given this opportunity. So I wanted to make the most of it. I knew my career was not going to be long, because I was 24 when I started playing. I was 28 when I got injured. So as devastating it was obviously wasn't expected that I'd be injured and then go out, but I knew I wouldn't be there, a long time, and I knew I'd go back into some other, have to go back to work afterwards. So the way my attitude was, appreciate what I had, the opportunities I was given, and then whatever happens, and then you deal with it, consequences or the advantages that may bring as well.
Do you think your injury made you actually want to venture out into sport more in the managerial side of things?
Well, I've dabbled in all sorts. So for me, football's about timing and who, and it's not so much about what you know, it's sort of who you know. It is changing. The modern football game today is definitely changing. More opportunities. Back in 2000 when I went into, so I did my coaching after I got injured a year afterwards, alongside recovering. I did my coaching qualifications. I was working for the academy as well, coaching one of the age groups. I was also then went on to manage Solihull Borough they were then in 2000. Spent 4 years there. Managed Evesham United for 2 years, and they were playing in sort of equivalent today of Northern Premier, so one below the conference, so Conference North, Conference South, that sort of level. They were in there because it's all changed again now. And I was coaching basically 7 days a week, coaching or managing 7 days a week. I had a decision to make in 2008 about whether I go full-time with management or coaching, but that's not my choice, that's whether any opportunities are out there. Or, obviously I was working for Sky Blues in the community, so I had to decide which way I wanted to go. The way I went was down the community side, because that's where the security was. As I said, my age then was, coach-wise, management-wise, was a young manager, but there wasn't anything full-time, and I wasn't being offered anything full-time, so my security with family and responsibilities that I had then was to, make sure I can have a long career in what I was doing, which is the charity stuff, which I'm still doing now. So, although the glamour and glitz of being up there and being successful, there was many pitfalls of being, especially managers. You can sign a contract for 3 years, but you can be kicked out the door 6 weeks later. My circumstances back then were I needed more security in my life, and so I did a little bit of both. So I carried on coaching with the academy, but I made sure that my priority was my full-time job with the community scheme.
You mentioned your work with the community. How proud are you of the work Sky Blues do?
It's not just me. Obviously, where we've come from, how we started, and where we are now. We were named Midlands Club Community Scheme of the Year for 2018, and that was our highest achievement. And that's just been recognised amongst all the rest of the Midlands teams. But for me, we've got a big team behind us now. Whereas probably when we became a charity in 2008, I've been doing this job since '97 now, so 22 years. But we became a registered charity in 2008, and that's when there was a significant change, because we got some investment into football through the Premier League, the EFL Trust as well. And we got not a lot of money, but it enabled us to build a little bit of capacity in staff. So it wasn't that we had to put paid for activities on, otherwise we couldn't pay for coaches. It just enabled us to appoint a couple of full-time people. And on the back of that, we grew. So we operate under sport, health, inclusion and education. And we have a mixture of where we apply for funding from Sport England, big lottery, Children in Need, Premier League money. Basically any funding that's out there that we can apply for, we'll put on. So we try to account for about 50% of our income from funding and 50% for paid for activities. So holiday courses, school activity, walking football, women's running clubs. We run, I'm trying to think of all of the things. We run player development centres. They're all our paid for activities. So we try to get an even balance. So we're not too reliant on one or the other. We can survive. So in 2003, when I became the head of they were Coventry City Football in the community then, there was just 3 staff. We've now got 26 full-time staff and another 24 casual workers who just come in and deliver after school clubs, holiday courses, things like that. And then we've got another 20 volunteers on top of that. So as I say, it's not just me. I just head it up and sort of do the strategy and the leadership for it, but we've got 5 good managers who run their own themes and activities, and we just pull it all together.
At the end of the season awards this year, you won the Michelle Wrigley Award. How much of an honour was that?
Very, very proud to receive that award. I was a little bit disappointed they didn't explain who Michelle Wrigley was on the night, but there were so many awards going on and things like that, so there was probably only a handful of people that knew probably who Michelle was. Michelle was sadly taken from us in 2012, very suddenly. She was very young, and she'd been at the club for as long as I had, at least, if not longer. At Highfield Road, she used to be the first person you'd come into contact. If you walked into the offices, you would see Michelle. She was a very strong woman. She certainly told you if you didn't do it her way, you would certainly know about it. And she'd spent at least 25 years with the club. And so when when sadly she passed away, so they put this award, and quite a few people around the club that have been here sort of round about the 20 years. But in football now, you don't get that many people that are spending that amount of time in any football clubs. It's just the way the footballs have gone from family clubs, volunteers, to now they're business models, which you have to move with the time. So there's the people that have won this award, and then for me to get it, because even though I've been associated with the club for as long as I have, the charity is a separate from the football club. We have a board of trustees there's representatives from the football club that are on there, but we're our own independent charity. So even though we use the badge and everything, we are separate. So for me to win that award in Michelle's name, and knowing who she was and who the previous people had won that, it was a great honour, because she was a remarkable lady, and it was I was shocked when they did it, and sort of looking around who's got it this year, because it's always someone from the football club, you see. So yeah, great memory.
You mentioned that you came into your career a little bit later. Do you think that made you actually appreciate the opportunity more than some players who come down the ranks from the Premier League academies?
Definitely. When I was managing and coaching in non-league, if we had young players that had just been not got contracts at football clubs at 18, 19, you could just tell. I actually didn't want them, because not because of their football ability, it's just because their mind wasn't in the right place. They needed to go out and get life experiences, in jobs in the real world. I always say the real world. They need to experience that, because even back then they're very much in a bubble where the outside world is they're protected from, especially the young professionals. So it's quite a change, quite a transition to go from a professional level to non-league. The standards are just as tough, but it's a more physical game, and you're not playing on the best, not training on the best, 3G pitches all the time. You're training on parks pitches sometimes. You're playing on pitches which aren't as good as what they've been used to, and that takes quite a bit of transition. So I think the way I came up from playing works football at 16 years old to then slowly going up to the level of where I got to, for me it was perfect for me, because it allowed me to develop and as a player during that time. And when I went in at 24, probably should have gone a couple of years younger. But at 24, I was sort of, experienced enough, even though I'd not played professionally. I was certainly I played over sort of 250, 300 non-league games, and so I think that held me in good stead. And then it made me appreciate what I had once I was professional. So I probably wasn't the most gifted footballer, but what I had was a determination, a respect, an attitude and application. And for me, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you can't run around for 90 minutes, then you shouldn't be a professional footballer.
And also, you mentioned Highfield Road. What's your favourite memory of playing at Highfield Road?
Would have to be scoring my first goal. I think it's a 94-95 season. We had Wimbledon at home, and managed to score a diving header to we drew the game. We were 1-0 down and we drew 1-1. And then to see that picture on, I was in the pub on the night over in Kingsley, Birmingham, and Match of the Day came on, and then they just showed the goal on there, and then I was there with all my mates and family, and we were just watching it. And then to be on, having watched Match of the Day all these years, and then to be on Match of the Day, and especially scored a goal like that. So that was. But I loved Highfield Road. I played. My whole career was played there, and fond memories.
Cheers. Thank you, David.
Thank you.